You're listening to Confessions of a Counselor podcast. Here we will talk all things mental wellness. Hi everyone, it's Janice here, and welcome back to Confessions of a Counselor. On this week's episode, I thought we would talk about relationships. So primarily the work that I do is with individuals, but the topic of relationships comes up a lot. And how do I navigate relationships? How do I be in relationship? Typically these questions are directed at romantic relationships, but I also navigate friendships with a lot of my clients as well. And so a lot of the work that we do is relationship based, whether we're talking about boundaries, we're talking about feeling our feelings, we're talking about joys and drains. All of this is interrelated into how we cope with and manage our relationships. But when it comes down to the specifics of it, I really like to kind of gear towards the expert. So that's what I thought we would talk about today. So let's dive right in. When it comes to relationships, I am not the expert. And so this is where I really like to use research-based evidence to help my clients navigate quite complicated and intricate dynamics between themselves and others. So just as with many of these podcasts, you'll hear me referring to other bodies of work. This is the case with relationships as well. So when it comes to relationships, I will always look towards the relationship experts of Dr. John and Julie Gottman. So they have a ton of amazing resources that help clients navigate. They have an Instagram page, a Facebook page, but they also have wonderful resources like books and blogs and videos that really allow you to dive into what it is that they've learned over the years from actually observing couples in their natural habitats, if you will. So this is something that I love to bring into session. So today I thought we would talk about their 7 principles, as well as the 4 horsemen. So these are 2 pieces. And again, I'm not going to dive in. I'm going to allow you to take their information right from them. But the 7 principles and the 4 horsemen are 2 things that I use in sessions on a regular basis. So I'm just going to give you the names of things, and you can go and find the resources, because I think that this information is so important to get out into the world and understand. So John Gottman has created the 7 principles to making a marriage work, and this is relatable in any romantic relationship, and is universal across the board. So the first principle is to enhance your love map. So this is really understanding your partner. So knowing what's going on in their lives, knowing what's important to them, really understanding who your partner is, and your partner understanding who you are. The second principle is nurturing your fondness and admiration. So this means being friends. This means seeing the good in your partner and appreciating who they are and what they do. This is a super important principle that I talk about a lot with my clients, because if we don't have fondness or admiration for our partner, it's going to be really hard to work through the tough stuff. Number 3 is turning towards each other instead of away. So again, if we are constantly moving away from our partner or avoiding conflict or even avoiding repair, then it's going to be really hard to move through those difficult things. So we want to turn towards our partner so that we're working together as a team. Number 4 is letting your partner influence you. So knowing that you are not alone in this journey. So if we've chosen to be with our partner, then they need to be our partner, and there needs to be influence on both sides. Number 5 is solving your solvable problems. So remembering that there are some things that are going to be hard to navigate, and there are some problems that are going to be within the relationship for the whole entire length of the relationship, and there are some things that are solvable. So making sure that we are solving those problems so that they are not building up and becoming problems that aren't solvable. And just because we have unsolvable problems in our relationship doesn't mean that the relationship cannot be successful. Number 6 is overcoming gridlock. So again, with problems that are perpetual problems, things that come up for a couple over and over again, moving from we're just not going to talk about this to having dialogue around it. So being able to address and talk about the things that are hard to talk about. And finally, creating shared meaning. So this means that we're finding something that is meaningful for both of us, something that the couple is working towards and working within, so that you are, again, in partnership with your partner. So these are the 7 principles. Again, there's a whole book that you can read with activities and narrative and dialogue on how to implement these 7 principles, but these are things that I talk about with my clients on a regular basis. And the other is the 4 horsemen. So there's actually a really awesome video that Julie Gottman put out on YouTube, which really explains the 4 horsemen. But the 4 horsemen are these principles that when we're in conflict with our partner, that these are the ways that we may show up in argument. And so remembering that we need to navigate these 4 horsemen when we are navigating conflict. So the 4 horsemen are criticism, contempt, defensiveness, and stonewalling. And again, these are things that we talk about in session, and there's lots of resources through the Gottman Institute on what these look like and how they show up in relationships. So those are just some things to chew on and to research that are so important when we're talking about relationships. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Confessions of a Counselor podcast is available anywhere you like to listen to your podcast, both on Apple and Android. New episodes will be released every Friday. If you enjoyed this podcast, please feel free to join the conversation. Leave a review or subscribe to the podcast hosted on the Anchor app. All these details can be found at janicelyons.com. Until next time, take care.